Welcome, my political friends of the interwebs. Before I start this video, by the way, this video is going to be about the Toledo Police Department's handgun buyback that they're going to have on the 8th. But I'll get to that in a minute. I'm going to open this package I got from Firearms Pop, a fellow Kentucky colonel, an awesome YouTuber. And I'll leave a link to his channel down below, so definitely check him out. Oh, he's wrote to me. Let's see what we got. For those of you who do not know, Firearms Pop, this is if you don't know what this is a Second Amendment supporting bracelet. But Firearms Pops is a retired gentleman, a war veteran from Vietnam, and he makes a little extra fundage by doing paracord work. And so check him out. He's a very cool dude. Let's see what the Colonel has to say. It says, Colonel, thank you for sharing, and those of you who don't know, I'm also a Kentucky Colonel. Thank you for sharing my Second Amendment video on YouTube. You have been a good friend and support my many years, and I appreciate it. I hope this bracelet is the correct size. I know you have a man-sized wrist. Well, I'm just a fat bastard, if you want to put it like that. Thanks again, your brother, Colonel Vinny, a.k.a. Firearm Pop. He's a very cool dude. He really is. He's a class act, has always been a class act. Okay, so the Toledo Police Department is going to have themselves a little gun buyback. That's right, 4 p.m., June 8th, Missionary Baptist Church on 1101 Heston Street. Do not be there. Don't be late. Or no, do not be there. Don't miss it. Actually, don't miss it for a reason. I'm going to tell you why in a second. Yeah, which, kind of annoys me that the street that this thing's being held on is named Heston. I think you know where I'm going with that. If you don't know, you should know. Anyway, here's, I was asked how I came down on this. I'm going to absolutely tell you how I come down on this. I am absolutely against gun buybacks. I think they're an absolute fraud perpetrated on the American taxpayer. And here's why. Well, first, before I start that, I want to say we're in an election cycle in Toledo for mayor, okay? And, there's a whole lineup of loony lefties that want to run the city into the ground, each one doing a much better job than the last loony lefty that was in charge. I don't think Toledo's had a Republican mayor, oh my God, maybe once in my lifetime, and that was when I was a kid, So anyway, this councilman, the city councilman's running, his name's Joe McNamara. And the reason I bring him up is because Joe McNamara was calling for a gun buyback. Now, he didn't realize that the current lefty administration was already planning one. There was already one in the works. But the fact of the matter is that Councilman Joe McNamara, running for mayor of the city of Toledo, is a candidate for city of Toledo mayor, I should say, is calling for gun buybacks. He is an anti-Second Amendment councilman, an anti-Second Amendment a candidate for mayor. And so if you live in the city of Toledo and you vote for Joe McNamara and you say that you're a pro-Second Amendment guy or girl, then you're not. You're fooling yourself. I don't care whatever stance this man takes. Okay, I don't really care. I don't care what he's for. Bottom line, I know what he is against, and that's the Second Amendment. So just keep that in mind, my Toledo brothers and sisters who watch me, and I know a few of you do. All right, so 4 p.m. June 8th, Missionary Baptist Church, and here's why you should be there. I think you should be there, parked across the street with a sign that says, we'll pay $60 for working handguns and long guns. That's exactly what I think you should do. And I would. If it wasn't for the fact that Obama's drove me to the poorhouse, I would absolutely set up across the street from this church with a big old sign saying, bring me your guns. I'm paying more. Absolutely. And there's no minimum of 2. You got 10 really good guns, I'm willing to buy them from you. And if they're really special, I may even give you a bonus. That's exactly what needs to happen in this. I hope, and I'm going to try to make it down there for nothing else to film this stupidity, but I would love nothing more than to see a couple of good Americans standing across the street buying guns. How would you like to have a Browning over and under that you can get for $60? Now, you say, well, that's never going to happen. Let me tell you, it does happen, and here's why. A fair amount of these guns, well, let me say first, a lot of these guns are crap, no doubt about it. But a fair amount of these guns are from widows whose husbands had a gun collection of some sort. Maybe it was a shotgun or two for hunting, maybe, whatever it was. And they've been in the house, the husband's been dead for 10 years, and they're kind of scared of him, and they've been walking around him a little bit, won't even dust him, and they want to get rid of them. And this is a perfect example. This is a perfect opportunity for them to actually get rid of those guns. And that happens. And that's how you can end up with a Browning over and under or something very special for cheap. Okay, so seriously. And here's the thing. If once the police get a hold of these during this gun buyback, they get destroyed, which I think is an absolute travesty. But that's exactly what happens. So that's one of the reasons you should be down there. And I'm going to get to why I'm not a big supporter of gun buybacks in a second here. But here's the other thing for me. Okay, well, you know what? I'll just skip ahead to why I am against gun buybacks. First of all, it is literally a fraud perpetrated on the American taxpayer. Now, some people say, well, the money doesn't really come from the taxpayers. It comes from the special, trust fund. Well, first of all, I don't know where that trust fund got its money. Second of all, okay, the last time they did this was in 2003. Now I'm speaking of Toledo, Ohio. The last time they did a buyback like this was 2003, and it cost $25,000. Okay, now people can say, well, that $25,000 to buy back the guns all comes from the trust fund. Well, wait a minute. What about all the law enforcement officers that are there? That money's not coming out of this trust fund. That money's being paid for by the taxpayer. As far as I know, if I'm wrong about that, feel free to let me know in the comment section. And I don't believe that any of these law enforcement officers are volunteering their time, are they? Let me know if you think they are. I don't think they are. I think the American taxpayers, the city of Toledo taxpayers, are paying their foot in the bill for the overtime. This is like time and a half, double time, triple time, whatever these guys got coming to them. That's all being paid for by the taxpayer. And there's not any other way to look at it that I can see. And I'm against that. And here's why I'm against that. It's a fraud. Every single credible study has shown that less guns do not equate to less crime. In fact, quite the opposite. More guns equate to less crime. That's just a fact. I know the lefties don't like to think about it like that, but it's true. It is absolutely true. It's just like, for example, the concealed carry permit. When each state decided to go down that road, it literally had a positive impact on reducing gun crimes in general. Period. It had a positive impact. And then you look at places that have the most strict gun laws. Places like Chicago is a perfect example, and I used to live in Chicago. Murder rate nonstop. I mean, crazy. So in fact, there are places in Mexico that don't have the murder rate that Chicago has. But for the most part, and I know this because I live there, it's very difficult to have a firearm in Chicago. It's very, very difficult. And you can't have. Listen, I'll be honest with you. I'll completely be honest with you. When I lived in Chicago, I actually had under my bed an AK-47. But the truth is that made me a criminal. Just solely having that weapon in the city limits made me a criminal. But you know what? I felt a hell of a lot safer. Now, thankfully, I never had to use it. But the old saying, better to be judged by 12 than carried by, 6? Yeah, judged by 12 than carried by 6, or is it 8? I don't remember. But anyway, I think you've heard the saying. So I took that chance, So now here's the thing. So you've got this fraud that's being perpetrated on the American taxpayer, especially the city of Toledo in this case. And it's just so stupid. For example, they will pay you up to $50 per gun, up to 2 guns. Working guns. Now, I don't know how they specify that. I don't know if they function check these guns. No idea. But here's the other thing that cracks me up. They will take BB guns. They will take ammo. They will take shotguns. They will take BBs and pellet guns. They won't pay you for those. And the funny thing is they will also take starter pistols. Now, why is that funny? Well, the last time that they had a gun buyback, there was no specifications on anything. And there were people who literally were going out and buying $20 starter pistols. Yeah, that's right. And turning them in 10 or 20 of them at a time. In fact, I think you could go to Dick's Sporting Goods and get one for $20. And so they would just clean out Dick's and then head over there and get paid. I mean, it's just, the whole thing is just ridiculous. The gun buybacks are a liberal wet dream, and they don't work. And here's the thing about it. What's the saying? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result. I mean, these gun buybacks do not work, have never worked. And most people will say, well, it's the right thing to do. What do you mean it's the right thing to do? It's not the right thing to do. It's ridiculous And not to mention, it sends a false premise out there. It perpetuates a false premise. And that false premise, like I said, is that less guns mean less crime. It's simply not true. And when you hear people say things like, well, but less guns in the inner city is a good thing. Well, what kind of racist statement is that? Because demographics clearly show that the majority of the citizens that live in the inner city are minorities. So what you're trying to tell me is that minorities can't be trusted with guns? Minorities are criminals? Minorities are more likely to kill you? Is that what you're trying to say? And if that's so, say it. Own it. Own it. Don't dance around it. Own it. Because my feelings are this. If you're a African-American mother and you're living in the inner city, you have a right to defend yourself. You have a God-given right to defend your life and your family's life. And for anybody to say otherwise, screw them. That's the way I look at it. They're racist. I don't care if they are Democrats. They're racist. I know Democrats, it's one of those things. Well, Democrats can't be racist because they champion the minorities. Bullshit. They've done nothing but keep the minorities down from freaking since Lyndon Johnson. Period. And that's proven. That is a fact. Nobody wants to look at those statistics. Nobody wants to look at those facts, but that's a fact. The Democrats have destroyed minority families. Destroyed them. With their nonsense war on poverty liberal bullshit. Anyway, that will be a whole different video. I won't go down that road. So anyway, listen, I encourage everybody to go down to the Missionary Baptist Church on 1101 Heston Street and set up shop across the street. I'm going to try to be there. I will try my best to be there with my camera. And I pray to God I see some people out there across the street from this buyback doing their own little buyback. Their pro-Second Amendment buyback by denying these lefty loons the opportunity to destroy weapons, at least the good ones. I could care less what happens to a rusty hunk of crap, but God, with the thought of a beautiful 1911 being melted down, oh my God. So anyway, that's all I got for you guys. Let me know in the comment section how you feel about this, how you feel about gun buybacks. Just let me know. I'd be very curious. And if by the way, if you're a Toledo police officer, do me a favor. Do not involve yourself with this nonsense. Do not involve yourself with this anti-Second Amendment garbage. Don't do it. You're sworn to uphold the Constitution. And all this does is perpetuate it perpetuates an attitude and it basically facilitates the anti-Second Amendment crowd. That's all it does. And you're becoming I'm gonna be harsh on this. You become a useful idiot. That's right. If you're a law enforcement officer and you partake in this, you become a useful idiot for the anti-gun group, the anti-gun crowd, the anti-Second Amendment crowd. And I've got a lot of law enforcement officers in my family blood. I'm talking close blood relatives of mine that are police officers. Not one of them that I can think of would ever even participate in this. I don't care if it's time and a half, double time, triple time. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't sell the Constitution out for a little overtime. So as a why not? Just you want to know why you shouldn't be involved in this because it is what it is. And if you're a pro-Second Amendment law enforcement, now I know not every law enforcement officer is pro-Second Amendment. I know that. It's unfortunate. It doesn't make sense to me. It's that how you could be sworn to uphold the Constitution, but yet not respect the Second Amendment. I don't get that. But that is what it is. That's for another debate. But anyway, everybody take care. See ya.